Hey fountain freaks, we're visiting this morning a fountain that's near and dear to my heart, the Delbert J. Half Fountain. Rightly named after a park influencer from the 1900s, who was largely responsible for many of the fountains that we're going to see today. Unfortunately for my drinkability score, this fountain is one that I wouldn't even swim in. But don't worry, I'm on a quest. I'm not going to stop until we find one, right after a message from our sponsors. Hey fountain freaks, we're at a very special fountain right now. Unfortunately, this one has not been commemorated and not been signed, so we can't tell who the author was and who created this. But it is a very lovely statue, very well maintained, and my drinkability score would be, it's pretty close. Wouldn't drink, but it's very well maintained. We have a lot more fountains to look forward to, so stay with us right after a message from our sponsors. Hey fountain freaks, this fountain dates back to the 1700s when it stood for over 300 years in a Venetian square. The figurines were brought over from Italy in the 1920s. I'm not quite understanding their math on that one, but what I do know is it's old and stuff, and it's from far away. And we have it here now in Kansas City, so yay, Kansas City! My drinkability score is it's not the greatest, but don't worry. We'll definitely find one soon. So stay with me from a message from our sponsors. Hey fountain freaks, we're at the crucible of our fountain tour, the most photographed fountain in all of Kansas City. The fountain has 4 heroic horsemen, each representing one of the 4 world rivers. The Mississippi River with the alligator, the Volga River, the Seine, and the Rhine. That rhymes. My drinkability score is I wouldn't. But don't fret kids, there's plenty of more fountains. There's over 500 right here in Kansas City. So stay tuned right after a brief message from our sponsors. Hey fountain freaks, right now we're at the Fountain of Bacchus, historically known as Pan and the Nymphs, as they depict the god taking him into the garden. The fountains are getting hot and heavy here in Kansas City and it's just starting to heat up, but we'll have more fountains right after a message from our sponsors. Hey fountain freaks, today we're looking at a fountain called A Morning Prayer, which was dedicated by the Children of Mercy Hospital. And it was brought here in the 1930s by the J.C. Nichols Company. Isn't that a lovely gesture for the city? The J.C. Nichols was a real estate developer in the early 1900s, and because of J.C.'s hard work, we have a lot of the fountains in the Kansas City area today. Now my drinkability score is super close because it looks yummy, but I still advise that we shouldn't. Stay tuned because the next fountain is right around the corner. Hey fountain freaks, we finally made it to my favorite fountain. This is the Kruger Ball outside the Kansas City Life Insurance Company. They first commemorated this fountain in 1996 and it's spectacular. Don't you just want to lick it? I do. Just don't. They don't like it. We'll have more fountains after this, just after a message from our sponsors. Hey fountain freaks, we're at a very special fountain. This is called the Four Fawn Fountain, which are half human, half goat. This fountain was brought to us in 1928 by John C. Taylor and was placed on that exact same year by the J.C. Nichols Company. What a great company. And what's great about this water is it is practically drinkable. And we'll have even more right after a message from our sponsors. Hey fountain freaks, this fountain was a pleasant surprise, the Pomona Fountain. It wasn't on my list and I just happened to stumble upon it while I was looking for dinner. That's how prevalent fountains are in Kansas City. Did I mention there's over 300 fountains in Kansas City alone? This town is truly remarkable. My drinkability score is I wouldn't, slight tinge of yellow. But stay tuned, we're sure to find one at our next fountain right after a message from our sponsors. Hey fountain freaks and curious kids, we finally made it to the north side, to the Children's Fountain. This fountain is particularly interesting and it's super cute. It depicts the innocent children. And honestly, I would love to get in, but I don't look good in orange. But don't worry, I'm sure there's another fountain that is drinkable right after a brief message from our sponsors. Hey fountain freaks, welcome to another fountain. Right now we're outside City Hall in Kansas City with this beautiful fountain in the background. It was dedicated in 1998 and this one is exceptionally clean. There's no water left on the ground at all. It's practically drinkable, but I advise against it. Don't worry, there's more fountains up next right after this brief message from our sponsors. Hey fountain freaks, this fountain really intrigued me. It's the Fireman's Fountain, and who doesn't love a hot and saucy fireman? Well, Kansas City does, because they built a fountain. My drinkability score is I wouldn't swim in this fountain, but that's okay. There's plenty of more fountains to come right after a message from our sponsors. Fountain freaks, we have a particularly special fountain right now. This is a boy and a frog, which was created by Raffaello Romanelli from Italy in 1928 and was brought over by John C. Taylor. Of all the fountains, this is particularly interesting because this has a drinkability score, almost. There's some florals floating in it. It's really pretty. Stay tuned for some more fountains right after a message from our sponsors. Hey fountain freaks, we reached the north end of the fountains. This is the Northland Park Fountain, and which is one of 2 fountains that remains running all winter long. So we can come and see the nice ice sculptures in the middle of winter. They also dye the water a nice royal blue when we win championships. Go Royals! We have one more word from our sponsors.
Okay, that was a long day.
Yeah, it was.
How many do we do?
721.
You know what the sad part is?
What?
We're going to cut it down to about a dozen.
What the? Okay, I don't know the name of this fountain. I'm like, let's get in and get out. Hey fountain freaks, we're at a very special fountain right now. This is called the Four Fawn Fountain, which are fawns. Hey fountain freaks, we're at a very special fountain. This is the Allen J. Nichol. Oh no, start again.
Back up.
Allen Memorial Fountain. Allen Memorial Fountain.
Sorry,
Allen,
back to one.
Yep, back to one. Oh, fountain.
We're recording. Action.
Hey fountain freaks, we're at a very special fountain.
Okay, we're ready? Yep. Anytime.
Hey fountain freaks, right now we're at the front of the Pomona's. Hey fountain freaks, right now we're in front of the Pomona Fountain. I can't do the Pomona Fountain, but you're too cute. Okay, you got to give me 2 seconds. Again, do it again. Sorry. Start. Reset. Sorry.
Too far behind you.
Yeah.
Start again. Do it again. 5, 4, 3, 2. Hey, fountain freaks and curious. That one was difficult. We have one more sponsor. Oh, dude, I did it again. We have one more word from our sponsor. Damn it. Damn it. Sorry.
You did, right?
I'm getting excited. I know it was perfect otherwise, and then I get to the end and I'm like, hey, fountain freaks and curious kids, we finally made it to the north. What in the clown?